Welcome to this week's Sunbelt Football Coaches Media Teleconference. We're joined here first with App State head coach Shawn for our media on the call. To ask a question, please press *1 to get in the queue. Coach Clark, would you mind starting with an opening statement?
Arkansas State, I thought our kids started fast, scored 14 points in the first quarter. Then the second quarter, we outscored 24-0 in the second half. That was pretty good day for us. We were able to run the football when we had to, and on offense, and we had one turnover with a bad throw there of a chase, and I thought our defense played very physical. I mean, you have 11 tackles for a loss and 4 sacks and 3 INTs and 2 for touchdowns is a big deal. And I thought our special teams played the best they played all year. They had no penalties, and they had two good returners, and Alan Lamar and Johnny Lang, and I thought our guys covered with a purpose. And we got home late Saturday night and started on South Al this morning. So we got a big task at hand, and Coach Wommack and his team, and we'll go from there.
Thanks, Coach. As a reminder for our media, please press *1 to get in the queue and ask a question. Our first questions come from Dan McDonald at The Advocate.
Good morning, Coach.
Good morning. How you doing?
Doing well. It seems like every time you looked around, you're making a big play defensively. Was that something that you thought you had a chance to do going in, or just something developed, or was it something that you saw on a scheme that you thought would work?
No, I think our defense, we had a great game plan on defense, and just be able to make some plays finally. You know, we were able to get to the quarterback. We have 2 good pass rushers there at the defensive line spot, and Stephen Jones had a great game. I mean, I think more of that is preparation. I think Coach Lockwood and Coach West done a great job of those guys in the back end of really reading their keys and breaking the ball, and we were fortunate enough to get 3 picks.
You're also able to score, I think, twice in every quarter. People talk about complementary football, and you talked about the way your special teams played. The way you're playing right now is there a lot you can look to that your team needs to improve, or is it just sort of try to maintain from here on in?
No, there's a lot we have to improve when you look at the tape. And again, it was a great win for us, but so many mistakes we made, but we were able to overcome those mistakes. But I think we're going the right direction at the right time, and we have to continue to do that because every day, every week in this conference, you can get beat if you're not careful. And what Kane's doing with this program in South Alabama is remarkable. They're playing with a lot of energy and a lot of enthusiasm, and they're coached very well. So we have another championship game here at the Rock on Saturday. It's something we look forward to.
South Alabama has big playmakers and so forth. How concerned are you about their guys that can be so explosive offensively?
Well, I think they have some of the best receivers in our conference. I mean, you have to be able to double coverage and keep things in front of you, but they're very athletic. They have a very good offensive line. The quarterback's playing very good right now, and they have a running back who can take it to the house anytime he touches the ball. So, but I'm very impressed with their defense. I mean, they're very sound. Coaches Kane's done a great job with those guys on defense. They don't give up anything cheap. He has to earn it, and we have to do a very good job of taking care of the football this week.
Let me ask one more sort of future look. With 3 weeks to go and the way your guys are playing, you hold your own destiny in front of you. Is it hard to not sort of play the what if game and not to hold back on trying to look ahead to see what could happen down the stretch?
No, we just try to make it through the day. I mean, I try to make sure my kids are at school on time today. So we can't look ahead because again, our next 3 opponents are very good football teams, and again, this South Alabama team they're looking to get bowl eligible, and we're in their way right now. So we have to do a great job preparing like we've always done the last few weeks around here. But it's all South Alabama, and that's all we're looking forward to.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dan, and thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
We're joined now with Coastal Carolina head coach Jamey Chadwell. Coach, would you mind beginning with an opening statement?
Considering other but thought we played pretty well in 3 phases there, getting the special teams touchdown and defense getting the turnovers they did. And so proud of the way we played, prepared, and we're going to have to do it again as we coming up here. We got a good program coming in here that's really close to having an unbelievable record. Lost a couple close games, or they'd be up there in the 7-2, 8-1 range right now themselves. So we know we got a tough challenge here, and looking forward to that.
Thank you, Coach. As a reminder to our media, please press star 1 to get in the queue and ask a question.
I did.
Our first questions come from Alan Blondin from the Myrtle Beach Sun News.
Hey, Jamey. Can you please expound on the nature of Grayson's injury and what indefinite means?
Well, it's an upper body injury. Has to do with his shoulder areas there, and indefinite. We don't know how long he's going to be out. We hope to get him back before the end of the regular season. We've done a bunch of tests and all those different things, and just trying to figure out exactly what the injury is. There's a pain tolerance thing now too with it, as far as how much pain when you're dealing with your upper body and your shoulder areas. There's some challenge with that playing the quarterback position. So, he could be out the rest of the season based off of what how the recovery, how the healing does. He could come back, before then. But that's why it was indefinite, because we really don't have a complete answer right now, or at that point we didn't have an answer as well, and we don't right now either.
Okay. Have you been able to pinpoint when it occurred? Was it when he got hit and was throwing up on the field? Do you think that's when it happened?
We don't know. We think it was before then. There was a hit before then, and I don't know exactly what quarter. It might have been the second quarter. And then there was later in the fourth quarter on a third down play, he scrambles, gets to the sideline, and one of their players sort of drags him after the play's over there. That could have been it as well. We don't know. And it is what it is. But the adrenaline was going during that game where you didn't feel it as much. Then afterwards, that next day, it started showing up the severity of the injury.
All right, Coach. And then lastly for me, how does Bryce starting, how does that impact your offense, basically how the offense operates and how you call plays with Bryce in there as opposed to Grayson?
Well, Bryce and them are obviously different players. Bryce has he's got his strengths. There's some things obviously that he's not as good at. So what you try to do is what is our identity? What do we know we need to do to try to move the ball? And then you add what you feel like Bryce is capable of, what he's really good at, and then you try to put that in there. And I thought you saw some of that. Obviously in the weather, it was a real struggle to try to throw the ball last week. But I thought, from a completion percentage standpoint, he made some good throws when we needed it. And then he ran the ball well for us. So you change a little bit to fit your quarterbacks and what they do well. And so your base never changes, your base structure, but you got to always play to the strengths of your team. And so we'll do that with Bryce, going forward. And I think you saw some of that, Saturday night. Now some of that we had to because of the weather. We had to be a little bit different, but be similar, play calls and things to try to put him in the best position for him to be the most successful.
Sorry, but real quick, and so what is Bryce good at? If you can just, take the.
Well, he's a great runner. He's really good there. He does a good job in our pass game from an RPO and some different standpoints from that standpoint. And you like to try to get him outside the pocket and let him be a true dual threat quarterback. And so I think he does a good job of that. So you try to do some different things from that nature.
All right. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Our next questions come from Dan McDonald at The Advocate.
Morning, Coach.
Morning.
How key was it, you mentioned the weather on the night that the running games were going to be important, that you're able to hold Georgia Southern to, I think, 86 yards, only a little bit over 2 yards of play?
Well, I think that was huge, Dan. That was going to be a field position game. It was going to be who can run the ball and get enough, and control the ball and not turn it over. And I think we ended up getting 4 turnovers. Really didn't give up any explosive runs. And when you knew the yards were going to be hard to come by in a game like that, because it's tough in a passing game with the way that was. I thought our defense played their most complete game from that standpoint.
Can you contrast what they do rushing with what the Georgia State team that you're playing this week does? Because obviously they've got some really solid running numbers. I saw them up close this weekend. Yeah,
they're really good. Georgia State knows how to run the ball. They spread you out. They'll do some RPOs. They do some nakeds off of it. Then they spread you out and hand the zone off. They do a really good job running the ball and knowing exactly how they want to attack you. And so it's going to be different from a formation standpoint, from the threat of the passing game standpoint. There's not tons of true option with it, obviously, like a Georgia Southern would be. But it'll be a bigger challenge this week, because we know they're good, they're physical, they got backs that can take it the distance, and they've got the quarterback that's a good player, and then they've got receivers that can hurt you. So we'll have to take the game plan that we did this past week, tweak it obviously a little bit, but we'll have to play very similar, for us to have a chance to, slow them down.
One more quick question. How big was it to get the special teams touchdown right before half?
I think that was huge. I think, you get the turnovers, you score off of them, you're up 14-0, and they'll be able to get that touchdown, go up 3 scores. I think really one gave us unbelievable momentum going to halftime. Obviously, they're disappointed. And then we came out and had a long drive to go up 4 scores. And at that point, you felt like, hey, it's going to be hard for them to come back with this weather. So I think that was one of the big plays, obviously, of the game, but a huge, huge key right there before halftime. And I think gave us the jolt we needed to, go out and finish it off.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dan, and thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
All right, we are now joined with Kane, Wommack, the head coach of South Alabama. If you have a question for Coach, please dial *1 on your phone at this time. Again, *1 to get in the queue. Coach, thank you for joining us. Would you mind starting us off with the opening statement?
Yeah, obviously disappointing loss in the Battle of the Belt game against Troy, and credit Chip Lindsey and the job that they did, particularly in the first half and second quarter, really, of the game. They really took the momentum from us. We had about 12 plays on defense, in a 12-play span there. We gave up 2 touchdowns on defense and a pick 6 offensively, and then we turned it over in the red zone. So those were our 2 turnovers of the day, but they were so costly. And then I thought our defense played really dominant football outside of those 12 plays. But, that was enough of a hole right now that we were not able to overcome. Obviously, we really controlled the game at the beginning. We went up 7-0, and then certainly in the second half, when we went on our, I think we had, whatever it was, a 17-0 run there in the second half. But we just put ourselves in too great a valley. And that's really what our team right now, we're operating in some peaks and valleys, and we are building more and more consistency. I'm seeing it more from our team. And yet at the same time, we got to make sure our valleys are not too low. And I think that's what has really been our challenge to this point this season.
Thank you, Coach. As a reminder for members of the media to *1 to get in the queue. First questions come from Dan McDonald with The Advocate. Please go ahead, Dan.
Good morning, Coach.
Hey, Dan.
Your guys have done that a couple of times this year, where you've gotten off to slow starts, and then you've pretty much dominated games from mid-second quarter on. Is it, does that at some point, does it become almost, I don't know, I hate to say a mental thing, but, what can you do to try to get off to, quicker starts? Obviously, I know you scored first this last time, but after that, there were some struggles early.
Yeah, I think, at the beginning of the season, our challenge was getting started early, right? We went like our first 5 games and didn't score on the opening drive of the game, and really took us a while to get going. Then, we've shown games where, okay, well, we've started really well and then haven't finished well enough. And then this game, we had a lull in the second quarter. Our problem is we have a lull in the game, and our lulls tend to be pretty substantial. You talk about giving up 24 points in a matter of, whatever it was, an 8 to 10 minute stretch. And then, for the rest of the game, defensively, we played dominant. We controlled the entire game offensively. We had a 19-play drive for over 9.5 minutes, and continue to put drives together. So we're not just a flash in the pan, explosive offense. We have the ability to do that, and we've done that in games. So we're showing some consistency on all sides of the ball, but we've got to eliminate these valleys, these big lulls that come in the beginning of the game, at the end of the game. And if we can do that, I think that's where our success is going to be. So, to kind of put it in a nutshell for you, we've got to lessen the amount of liabilities that are on the field, be it an execution standpoint or be it somebody's taking advantage of a personnel matchup. That to me has kind of been our Achilles heel right now.
Can you talk about Desmond Trotter's performance and what he did for your team?
Well, I tell you what, one, it's really hard to come into a game, cold turkey. All those teams, right, the good football teams, they get better as the season goes on, right? They gain experience, they get in a rhythm and in a feel, especially on defense, right? So to go out there, being cold for 9 games or 8 games and then having to jump in the game and go play in a rivalry, obviously Des would have loved to have had that first series or 2 back. When, he threw a pick 6 and really had no business being there with the ball. We had a guy wide open. He just should have taken a sack. They got a guy that came free, and he's just got to take the sack and live to play the next down. But then as we navigated through the second half, man, it was so gutsy in his performance. He made some great throws, did a great job of running the ball when he needed to, and then he managed our offense really well into some of those long drives like we talked about.
Appreciate it, Coach.
All right.
All right.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
And thank you, Coach. We do appreciate your time today. And if everyone could stand by, we're going to place everyone on a brief hold, and we'll be back with Jake Spavital of Texas State here shortly. Please stand by. And we are now joined with Jake Spavital, the head coach of Texas State. If you have a question for Coach, please dial *1 on your phone at this time. Again, *1 to get in the queue. Coach, thank you for joining us today. Would you mind starting us off with an opening statement?
Yeah, good win for our program on Saturday. That's a really scrappy ULM team. Coach Bowden's done a great job there with. They got a lot of energy, a lot of emotion. They're very sound in what they do. I think their offense and defense coordinators are really good and challenged us and made a lot of adjustments. We started off the game offensively. We were pretty hot. We were kind of like hitting on all cylinders. We were making a lot of plays. We made a lot of explosive plays. Really, we made all of our offensive production in that first half. The defense was still working through kind of the quarterback run game and the new kind of things that they were doing in the beginning of the game. And we got into halftime. There was 20-19, I believe, or 20-16 at halftime. And we got into the second half, and they played very well. They made a lot of adjustments on the defensive side of the ball and really got after us offensively, but defensively from our standpoint, we stood up and rose to the occasion. We actually won a game for us on the defensive side of the ball. So this is kind of the first time where we actually played good complementary football across the board, good team football, capitalized on momentum. When one side of the ball was struggling, the other side stepped up and rose to the occasion. And I was just really pleased to watch these guys end up getting a win because it was a hard-fought battle. All these games, as you guys know, in the Sun Belt always come down to the wire, and that was a game that, luckily we got to the end and finished it off the right way. So really proud moment for our team. Hopefully we got some momentum going into this week with a home game here in San Marcos and Bobcat Stadium versus a Georgia Southern team that got after us last year. They still got a lot of great talent, and I think that they are playing at a high level. They played Coastal pretty tough last weekend, and it's going to be a great challenge for us. And just like it is every week, it's a fun part of being in this league. So we'll be ready to go again this weekend. Hopefully we can build off the momentum from last weekend. So questions?
Thank you very much, Coach. Our first questions come from Dan McDonald with The Advocate. Please go ahead, Dan.
Good morning, Coach. Can you talk a little bit about Tyler Vitt? He was pretty much a running threat in the game 2 weeks ago, and then this past weekend he averages about 18 yards of completion and throws for like 262 yards. Can you talk about what he's meant stepping back into that spot?
Yeah, Tyler's done a great job. He's a team captain of ours. He's a competitive kid. Now, he's played a lot of games for us. He's won games. He started in 2019. He started some games last year in 2020, and then, he's had an opportunity to start these past 2 games. And the kid shows up every day. He's got a great, spirit about himself, and that's why everybody respects him, and that's why he's one of our team captains. But the opportunity presented itself. Brady was beat up a little bit, going into the Louisiana game. So, we kind of had a short turnaround. So we know that Tyler is a very good runner, and we knew that we had to try to ball control versus Louisiana as best as we could. But he is capable of throwing the ball. And, we came out in this game. We knew that ULM is very multiple in what they do. They played App State and Troy this year, completely different of what they played, really like the Georgia States or really just the rest of the schedule. So, Tyler is a very smart kid, a very cerebral kid, so I could actually add a lot more into the game plan. So we had the initial thought of just utilizing him to just, take the RPOs when needed, check into pass plays based off of certain looks. We had a ton of checks for him early in the game just to see how they were going to play us, and I thought he managed it extremely well. He got it to our playmakers. He handed the ball off when he needed to, and he also utilized his feet in a very strong manner as well. So, just his competitive nature that he is, man, and I just was happy to see him get a win because, he's got a lot of respect in that locker room, and he's a very tough kid, and just to see him kind of put one together in front of the home crowd, especially on homecoming, was a great deal for Tyler.
You talked about your defensive play in the second half. Was anything in particular that you did schematically and so forth to, it looked like almost like a bend but don't break situation?
Well, no, we ended up Jordan Rebels, one of our better D linemen, was out for the first half due to targeting, and we had a plan that we were going to move in at halftime and go into a 4-down front. At the beginning of the game in the first half, we were in a 3-down front and just trying to kind of save bodies because they do a good job at milking the clock and making you play a lot of plays, and we were afraid we were going to run out of bodies, so we were playing 3 down as much as we could in that first half. And then when Jordan got eligible to play in that second half, we went to a more 4-down front, and we put Jordan at the defensive end position to try to create a pass rush, and that's why I think you saw us. We ended up getting 5 sacks in the game and finally had a pass rush because, one, he had a fresh body coming in the second half, and 2, that we were in a 4-down front in that second half as well.
At the end of the game, when basically you were, almost like let you get into the end zone, do you see that happening more and more recently as far as the last couple of years, as far as teams, needing to get the ball back and using that as a strategy late in games?
Yeah, this is a good question, by the way, because that is like a hot topic, especially in our office. You sit there as coaches and you continuously plan and you try to put these kids in so many positions, but you watch so many different scenarios of teams letting the other team score. It's a 1 point like lead at that point. If you score and kick the extra point, they got to score and get a 2-point conversion. So you sit there and go back and forth. Defensive coaches are the ones that always want you to just take a knee once, and so you can end up milking the clock out. Offensive coaches, I think there's karma involved with it, where just play the game, go and score, let them get on defense and go and play. You looked at the Liberty game and the Coastal Carolina game last year, and I forgot who it was trying to milk the clock at the end and ended up fumbling the ball. So I think there's a lot of moving parts to it, and I don't want to put too much kind of thought in it for the players, because our running back was completely lost and confused when he took the ball. And I've told the kids right now, let's just keep trying to gather more information on it all, where we're at. At the end of the day, you got to play defense to win the game, or you got to score points to to put it away. So right now our philosophy is just to continue to play.
Too much analytics.
Oh, too much. Like you're on top of this one today, Dan.
Appreciate it, Coach.
I appreciate you.
All right. Thank you, Dan, and thank you, Coach. We do appreciate your time today.
I appreciate it. Bye.
Thank you. We're now joined with Kevin Whitley, the interim head coach at Georgia Southern. If you have a question for Coach, please dial *1 on your phone at this time. Again, *1 to get in the queue. Coach, thank you for joining us today. Would you mind starting us off with an opening statement?
Yeah, thank you. Again, thank you for having us today. Come off a tough loss to Coastal Carolina. I thought our team came out hard, played well early on. We were able to get some 3 and outs. We couldn't get anything established on offense. And then we had a couple of turnovers that really cost us. They had a couple sudden change opportunities for our defense where we couldn't get off the field, and they were able to score and go up 14-0. And then we got a punt block right before half that really kind of hurt us as well. And they go into the locker room down 21-0. So again, we hadn't been able to put 4 complete quarters together. Had spurts where we played really well, and we just got to find a way to be more consistent on both sides of the ball.
All right, thank you. Our first questions come from Nathan Dominance with Savannah Morning News. Please go ahead, Nathan.
Thanks. Thank you. Hey, Coach.
Hey.
I want to ask, with the road game coming up, are you going to try to maybe change something in the scheduling of the trip to kind of help the guys maybe start faster? I think you've talked before about trying to change things up on road games.
Yes, sir. Well, one thing we do is, and I've been trying to do, is just kind of tweak something every time. Some things are set just based on travel and things of that nature, but we try to change. We try to make changes in terms of. I mean, we change everything from how we meet to how long we meet to pregame warm-ups, just trying to find anything to allow us to come out fast on the road. We've been really slow on the road. I know the Troy and South Alabama stint was real tough with the bus ride and then the short turnaround. And, so just every week. So to answer your question, yes, we'll make some changes here or there. We'll meet tomorrow and talk about some things, other things that we can kind of change to hopefully allow us to come out faster.
Okay, thanks. And as far as the health of the team, are there any injuries coming out of the Coastal Carolina game, and what's the health of the running back particularly?
Yeah, we've been battling injuries all year, and at this time of year, everybody has injuries. But this past week, we lost Najee Thompson. Is a guy that was converted over from receiver to defensive back. He'll have surgery on Thursday on his ankle, and he also has surgery on the thumb. So he'll be out. Hopefully we'll get Tyler Bryant back. He was in concussion protocol. Darryl Baker's been battling an ankle injury all year, so he's always doubtful. Let me think. C.J. Wright, he hurt his knee the previous week, but he finally got it up and played. So hopefully I'll get an update from the trainer on how he's doing. Running back, hopefully we'll get J.D. King back. He practiced yesterday for the first time in a while. And, Logan Wright's been battling a turf toe all year. So we do have some injuries. Like I said, guys are trying to fight through as best possible. And, we just got to keep, trying to practice smart so we can get everybody to the game.
As Najee was hurt on that fumble recovery, it looked like. Did he hurt his ankle,
yeah.
and was the thumb a separate injury?
The thumb was he had hurt his thumb the week prior, and he had a little soft cast on it. He played with it, and since he hurt his ankle, he's out for the year. They decided to go and do work on the thumb as well. So, but that's when he got his leg trapped under somebody, and he'll have to have an ankle surgery on Thursday. And like I said, the thumb was hurt a week before, but he gutted it out and played with it. And so they'll have surgery on both of those on Thursday.
Okay. Last question about that. Is it a left ankle, right ankle? Was it broken or fractured, or what's the term?
Well, let me say this. They said he was going to get a tightrope procedure. So I'm not sure if that's broken or whatever, but it's some type of tightrope procedure. But I'll meet with the medical staff today to get specific terms of what actually is going on.
Okay. I'll see you later. I'll give up the rest of my time here. Thanks, Coach.
No problem. I'll see you later, and I'll have that more information for you that time.
Thanks.
All right, no problem.
Thank you, Nathan. And we have time for one more with Dan McDonald with The Advocate. Please go ahead, Dan.
Morning, Coach.
Good morning.
How tough is your team? Is you're right there. You're down 7-0 midway through the second quarter, and you got the ball and so forth. And I mean, you're right there with a very good football team, and all of a sudden you turn around and it's 21-0 with the big the turnaround play they had right at the half. How hard is it for your team that's just kind of trying to do anything you can just to grab some kind of momentum and find some success?
Yeah, I think, like I said, everybody will agree. They've been stretching. We've played really well as a team, and what we got to do is we got to be mentally tough enough that when one thing goes bad, we don't let it snowball. Because our first turnover, we had, we get a first down. We just hold on to the ball. We got a first down. We keep running the clock, keep trying to keep their offense off the field, and then we turn it over. But, our defense has got to go out and say, hey, let's get the ball back. We just can't let them go 3 plays and score. And so, it's been a challenge, definitely, trying to get to that point to where we can recover from bad things. But we haven't quite got there yet. But, again, I think they scored 21 points in the second quarter, but so we held them to 7 points the second half. They're a team that were averaging 45 points a game, so we felt, just trying to give ourselves a chance to win. But, the biggest thing for us right now is just continue to work on ourselves. Like I said, we've had stretches where we played well, but we got stretches where we give up a lot of points. We got to find a way to limit those points and limit those opportunities when things start going bad.
If I could ask one more real quick, and if you don't mind me asking, how much communication have you had with Coach Helton, and how much have y'all talked about, the program going forward?
Coach Helton?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. I've spoken to him. I actually spoke to him this morning. Right now they got him ripping and running, so our communication has not been, I guess, as much as people would think. But I have met with him a couple of times and just trying to answer his questions and be as helpful as I can to him. But he has a vision for the program, and, my job right now is to, try to bridge the gap for him and, help him any way I can in terms of information or observations or opinions or, whatever he needs to make decisions. Because, in 2 or 3 weeks here, the season will be over with. And, hopefully this time will have given him a head start on next year. And so, I think hopefully he'll be better prepared for spring ball and have a better assessment of what he needs to change and things he doesn't want to mess with in terms of the 22 season. But our communication will be ongoing, and like I said, whenever he wants to talk to me, I make myself available for that. And like I said, he's off to a good start.
Appreciate it, Coach. Thank you.
All right, thank you, guys.
All right, thank you, Dan, and thank you, Coach. We appreciate your time.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you. We are now joined with Butch Jones, the head coach of Arkansas State. If you have a question for Coach, please dial *1 on your phone at this time. Again, *1 to get in the queue. Coach, thank you for joining us. Would you mind starting us off with an opening statement?
Sure. Well, going through the game again, App State have a lot of respect for them and their football program and their level of physicality and everything that they stand for in our conference. For us, we cannot waste any opportunity to continue to teach our team and teach our entire program in all aspects. Every day is critical to our overall development. And it's really, teaching our players really what it takes to play winning football on a consistent basis. I see it at times. I thought we improved in some areas, but, you can't have untimely penalties. We turned the football over way too many times. Came down to really critical down execution on 3rd down and 4th down. Played well enough defensively in the first half to win the game. And then second half we come out and, they have the ball for 9 minutes of the first 12 minutes to start the game. And a lot of that was a byproduct offensively. We had 6 plays. 3 of them turned into negative yardage plays. And so, again, you can't have negative yardage football plays. You can't be behind the sticks. So, our players continue to work and prepare and play hard, but, it's now to the next aspect of really them understanding, every play has a life of its own and what it takes to play winning football down in and down out.
All right. Our first questions come from Dan McDonald with the Advocate. Dan, please go ahead.
Morning, Coach. Your guys, you come right back and get the 2 touchdown passes that Lane threw, and you're right back in it. Was there something that that just on that next drive that Appalachian State, in the next couple of drives they had, something that sort of swung the momentum back their way?
Well, I think you just used a valuable term, momentum, and I think that's the other thing of learning how to win is we've not been able to really completely gain and be able to sustain momentum. And, we have the momentum of the game. We're at home. We tie it up 14-0. Next drive is absolutely critical to, force a 3-and-out, try to control vertical field position and score points. And we haven't been able to do that all year. And no, that's the thing is when you look at it, it's the discipline to execute for 60 minutes. It's the same plays. It's the same calls, the same schemes, and we can do it. They can run the same 5 plays in a row, and we'll do it exactly right. And then the 6th play, we have a catastrophic mistake, and it goes. And I think it's that ability to focus one play at a time. It's ability to have the discipline to execute for 60 minutes. That's the thing when you watch the video. You see things where you're making progress, but just right now we continually lack consistency that it takes to win football games.
You've got a couple of road trips coming up, ULM, Georgia State, and Texas State left on the schedule. Do you set, I don't know, for lack of a better term, do you set goals going into these last 3 to sort of try to finish up on a strong note?
Well, we do. We always set goals, and I think the big thing is just how are we better for the mistakes that we make? We can't continually make the same mistakes game in and game out. What do we learn from each game? We'll spend an inordinate amount of time today dissecting winning football, going into the video, trying to teach every player in our program exactly what it takes. And, but we do. We set weekly goals. We set game goals, and it's going to be a great challenge going to ULM. They've done a really good job. They're a great home team. They're 4-1. You look at the quality of opponents that they have beat at home. It's been impressive. And we all know the challenges of going there and playing on the road and the road trip. And, you better have the right mindset going in there or you're in for a long Saturday afternoon.
What do you see as the things you have to do better against ULM this week?
Well, again, I just think it's overall consistency and performance. It starts with critical downs. We did not do a good job on both sides of the ball on 3rd down. When you really look at it, 3rd down, we were 5 out of 14, and 12 of those attempts were 3rd and 8 or longer, and then they were 8 out of 15. But, 3 of those conversions was 3rd and 9 plus, and 6 of them were 3rd and 6 or longer. So it starts with getting off the football field, defensively, and then possessing the ball on offense.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, Dan. And we have time for one more with Jeff Reed with A-State Nation. Please go ahead, Jeff.
Morning, Coach.
Morning, Jeff.
How does the team look health-wise? I know you were beaten up kind of at this stage of the season, but at this stage of the season, is there anybody else who might be able to come back this week?
We're hoping Quay Mays. You're exactly right. We're kind of fighting the football attrition part of it, especially in the defensive front. But Quay Mays has showed significant progress here in the last couple weeks. So again, we'll know a little bit more about him as the week progresses. But right now, I would say the biggest one is Quay Mays.
What's James's status?
Right now, James will be out this week. He is probably a week away from being able to go, and he's also dealing with some things back home family-wise that he has to take care of as well. So, James has done everything we've asked. He's probably a week ahead of schedule, but, he's had a family tragedy as well So there's a lot of things going on in that young man's life right now.
Thank you, Jeff, and thank you, Coach. That's all the time we have for you today. We do appreciate your time.
Okay, thank you. Have a great week.
You as well, sir. And we are now joined with Terry Bowden, the head coach of ULM. If you have a question for Coach, please dial *1 on your phone at this time. Again, *1 to get in the queue. Coach, thank you for joining us today. Would you mind starting us off with the opening statement?
Yeah, tough loss to Texas State. That's one that you take it a little bit harder than the other losses that we had against some of the top teams in their conference. We were just two teams that were very similar. They deserved to win. They made one more play than we did, 1 point ahead of us. Now we let them have a touchdown at the end to try to get a chance to score and get a 2-point play. But we didn't make any big plays. It's when you have 98 offensive plays like we had and no turnovers and control the clock and you lose the game. You look at it and say they made more explosive plays than we did. That's why they deserve to win the game, and we didn't. We just got to find a way when we have that much opportunity to win a game to take advantage of it. And somebody's got to make a play, or we got to call plays that are explosive by nature. Defensively, they got us pretty good first half, but we came back second half, played very well, hold them to no score. But again, it was a game, two teams that were very even teams. They played better and they won. Other than that last play, let them score. It was a 1-point difference, and they just played better, won the game. So we got to get back on track this week, get focused on Arkansas State, and trying to win one more game before we think about the other games.
All right, thank you, Coach. Our first questions come from Dan McDonald with The Advocate. Please go ahead, Dan.
Morning, Coach.
Good morning.
You mentioned the 1 point. How frustrating is it that one play early in the ball game where you miss a conversion from a guy who's been dead solid for you the whole game, right, the whole year, and then that one play, 1 point changes the way the whole second half basically is played? How tough is that as a coach?
Well, I mean, it is, because the older you get, the longer you coach, the more you know how important special teams are. And it's not just having a 52-yard field goal. We got a guy that's making long field goals as good as around the country. But we got 100% on our PhD field goals, which we have been. And so that's frustrating, because now you're always trying to catch up a point. And it came back to haunt us. And so not only did we do that, but we drove the ball down to their 36-yard line with 13 seconds left before the half, and we threw a pass short of the first down and did not get to kick a field goal there. We let the clock run out. So that's another kicking game error. But again, biggest thing is we need to make our extra points. I'm not going to yell at my kicker that much. I mean, it might have been a little bit. The hole might have been a little different. The snap might have been a little different. But bottom line is those three guys have to make every extra point. Our guy makes too many big field goals to win games to get too mad at him, except that's what our guys have to see and be very conscientious in the snap, the hold, and the kick, and that it is accurate and it's always done right on time.
You meant talk about ball control and so forth. What was the biggest key in that? Because you held the ball for, the numbers are just, pretty impressive.
Weird. Yeah, 25 years, I've never had 98 plays on my offense, and that's not 25. But the fact that you look at how many explosive plays we had basically none. We had a long pass, 43-yard pass early that led to a field goal, and then we had nothing over 25 yards the rest of the game offensively. So just the way defense did not have a good first half, but we held them completely in the second half to a bunch of punts and on the 4th and 1 stop. But it just goes to show you, we talk about turnovers being the most important stat. I do believe it's turnovers and explosive plays, because both of those give a team a chance to win the football game. So no turnovers again, but on their defense, they had no turnovers either. And so when the bottom line of this football game was, they made big explosive plays and we made none. And because of that, we couldn't win the game. So frustrating. Sometimes we've won some games that nobody expected us to win this year, and expectations get a high. But we've got to do a lot of things right to win ball games this year, and we didn't do enough things to beat Texas State. And their quarterback that they used was not their starter, but I think he's a fine quarterback, and I thought Jake did a great job with that group there, and I think if given enough time, he'll get that program turned around.
You talk about explosive plays. Arkansas State's got some playmakers on offense. What do you do to try to limit that?
Well, you got to have good eyes. You got to play your assignment. You got to do the right thing. I mean, giving up an explosive play is not, if it's a pass, it's not letting the guy go beat you deep. That's one thing. If you're playing it perfectly and the ball, he makes a great play, then that's the best you can do. But against a team like this, you can't have bad eyes. You've got to play your assignments. You can't cover for somebody else, and you've got to make sure somebody doesn't make a big play. Kicking game, they've had kickers and kick return and punt return fella that have made a big play. So without a doubt, that'll be the number one key. Can we eliminate their explosive plays on offense and in their kicking game? Because that's the thing that we can't overcome is quick touchdowns that way.
Thank you, Dan, and thank you, Coach. We do appreciate your time today.
All right. Thank you all. Take care now.
Thank you. We're now joined with Billy Napier, the head coach of Louisiana. If you have a question for Coach, please dial *1 on your phone at this time. Again, *1 to get in the queue. Coach, thank you for joining us today. Would you mind starting us off with an opening statement?
A lot of respect for Shawn and Georgia State, how their team played in the game. Always a very competitive game when Louisiana plays Georgia State. Certainly Shawn had his team ready. Got to compliment their execution, the effort, the toughness. Really proved to be a great football game. One that we were excited to come out on top. Really got to compliment our staff and players for the poise and mental toughness that they showed in the game. Certainly handled the adversity well, and then they really finished when we needed to. Made some really good adjustments within the game, and certainly excited about, clinching the Western Division. We moving forward pretty quick here. Had a couple extra days already into the Troy prep. Gave the players a couple of days off this weekend. We're back at it today. And as expected, Troy has a very talented team and certainly do a really good job of using their personnel, can create a lot of problems for you. And they've been extremely competitive this year. Huge win in the in-state rivalry game last week against South Alabama. So got some momentum. Got to go to their place. Always a tough place to play. And we're looking forward to it. Dan, what do we got today, buddy?
All right. You called it, Coach. Our first questions come from Dan McDonald. Please go ahead, Dan.
Morning, Coach. Can you talk a little bit about Peter LeBlanc? He's got his fought some injuries and so forth. Was Saturday sort of a reward for sort of staying the course and the way he's kept fighting?
Yeah, I think, Pete played here as a true freshman out of necessity. He's certainly grown and developed as a receiver. I think Coach Leger's done a fantastic job with him. He's 6'2" and a quarter. He's almost 190 pounds. Guy's a former state champ hurdler, triple jumper. Just a heck of an athlete, great baseball player, and he's really developed nicely as a receiver. Last year is probably what you're referring to relative to injuries. A little bit banged up last year, and that hurt his production. But he's been a very consistent player for us. And the ball went his way the other night, and as he usually does, no moment too big for him. He stepped up and made the plays. So really excited for Pete. Certainly I know his teammates were as well.
How important was it for you? Talked about the making adjustments and so forth against a team that runs the football as well as Georgia State did, and does all year.
Yeah, no, I think a little over 4 yards a rush. I think we had poor eye discipline on a handful of plays in the first half. and then certainly, alignment issues a couple times in the second half. But overall, man, you can't compliment them enough. I thought their O-line played really well in the game. The backs are good vision, good instincts. They're well coached, and I think conceptually they do a nice job using the quarterback, which, always playing with an extra gap out there. So nice job. No surprise they had rushed the ball very effectively coming into the game, and, they showed why, Thursday night.
What do you see from the Troy team over the last few weeks? I mean, they've won 3 out of 4 and could easily have won against Coastal and made it 4 out of 4.
Yeah, no, I think this team is very, very capable. Certainly almost beat South Carolina too. So, they've played really good teams to some tight games, and certainly got some really quality wins. So I think the big thing that stands out, I think they're put together the right way. They use their personnel. They've got exceptional personnel on defense. In the front, the linebackers, the secondary, really athletic, great team speed. I think they're physical. They tackle well. They create a lot of takeaways. Their team is +8 in turnover margin. I think they've created 20 takeaways, which is a little bit over 2 per game. They certainly have good offensive skill, and they do a good job using them. The backs, the tight ends this year in particular, and then the receivers are always a threat. So Chip's got a good football team and certainly playing well in all 3 phases.
I have to ask, is it hard for you, your guys, staff, everybody involved in the program, not to sort of to hold back and not look ahead for what might be down the line over the next few weeks and stay on point with the one at a time?
It's not a problem at all. I think each one of these matchups affects the big picture. So we'll be motivation won't be a problem for our team. We'll be excited to play, and home field advantage is at stake. And certainly that could be, affected by the outcome of the game Saturday. So, we got a pretty mature team here. I think they've got some awareness. The key here is that we prepare, we check our boxes each day, relative to the things that coaches have planned for the players. And we do that very intentionally. It's more about the quality, the deliberateness of how we meet, how we walk through, how we practice the self-discipline we're living life with at this point in the season. A couple of days off certainly helped us physically, a little bit banged up. And then I think also a good mental break here. I anticipate we'll have pretty good energy today.
Appreciate it, Coach.
All right. Thank you, Dan.
All right. Thank you, Dan, and thank you, Coach. Do appreciate your time today.
All right, Travis. See you, buddy.
Yes, sir. And we're now joined with Chip Lindsey, the head coach of Troy. If you have a question for Coach, please dial *1 on your phone at this time. Again, *1 to get in the queue. Coach, thank you very much for joining us today. Would you mind starting us off with the opening statement?
Sure. Thanks, Travis. Appreciate you having me. Yeah, so recap from Saturday, obviously a big win for us in a rivalry game against South Alabama. Obviously it was anytime you play these guys here in state, it's a big game for us, and really was proud of how our guys approached the game all week and came out and really got off to a great start in all 3 phases. And then as a good team does, South Alabama rallied and came back the second half, and we lost our mojo a little bit. Those guys did a great job, and we ended up holding on for a big win. And, anytime you win the Battle of the Belt, it's a big deal. So really proud of the way our guys fought, handled some adversity. Some guys went down during the game. The next guy stepped in and did well. So all those are good positive things to build on as we head down this stretch. Obviously this week we get to play again at home versus a really good Louisiana team who obviously is top 25 for a reason. Those guys are consistent and continue to play good football, it seems, game in, game out. really been impressed with what Billy's done there. I think it speaks for itself. Already clinching, to get in the championship game and so forth. So big test for us. I think it's one that we got to have great preparation for and, really continue to play at a high level, which I think we're getting better each and every week. And obviously that paid off with a big win this Saturday. So big test, and looking forward to it. And we need to have a great week of prep. So questions?
Thank you, Coach. As a reminder, members of the media, star one to get in the queue. Our first questions come from Dan McDonald with The Advocate. Please go ahead, Dan.
Morning, Coach.
Morning, Dan.
Is that just the what happens when you have an in-state rivalry and a close-by rivalry? I mean, your guys are up 31-7 after the pick six, and you probably you're in good shape, and all of a sudden you got a dogfight at the end.
Yeah, I think there's some key points there that we can use to teach from as well. 2.5 minutes left in the half, we get the ball back, and we didn't convert there on a went 3 and out, and made a poor decision, I thought, throwing the ball down the field when we should have taken an easy one underneath, and then it would have kept the clock moving because really we knew we had the ball the second half. So the plan was to get us to half, but you can't just sit on it. They had a couple timeouts or whatever. So. And then when we punted, we got a penalty for a block in the back or a blindside block. And then the defense had them 4th and 8, and we missed a tackle. So we had a combination of things there that really gave those guys hope and life coming out of the halftime because they went down and scored a touchdown right before half. So instead of being 31-7, 31-14. And, fortunately, we were able to hold on and win the game, but really, really trying to emphasize yesterday how important that scenario was because when you play these good football teams, like we're going to again this week, I think it's important to take advantage of every opportunity. And we gave those guys hope and life, and to their credit, they came out in the third quarter and really played well the second half. So that's something we need to do better with, and, hopefully our team has learned from that.
Your guys only ran, I think, 55 offensive plays, something like that. Was that part of it that, they were able to, kind of keep the ball away from you, especially in the second half?
Yeah, no doubt. I think we snapped it 56 times, and 4 of those were kneels there at the end, kneel down. So we had 3 real possessions in the second half, and they were able to maintain the football, and we were not able to possess it enough, converting on third downs, although overall we were 50%, but just not enough snaps there in the second half. They had complete momentum and control, and our defense played kind of bend but don't break, and played well most of the game. But at the end of the day, they had the ball a lot longer than we did, and so fortunately we had a big enough lead where we were able to finish the game. But definitely a stressful situation.
You played the Louisiana team, several times and so forth in the not too distant past. What do you see from them this year that might be a little different than what you've seen in the past?
Well, it's been 2 years since we played on my first year, and they were a really, really good football team 2019, I think. And I see a very, very similar team. I mean, Billy obviously does a great job offensively with giving you different looks and formations and motions and so forth. They're going to run the football, doing what they do, running it. And then the quarterback, I think, is an outstanding player, makes really good decisions, and plays in that system extremely well. Got guys on the outside that can hurt you. They're a well coached, good football team that I think's got really good players as well, and defensively very similar, same style of play on defense, and very well coached. Don't give you anything, make you earn it. So it's going to be a test for us, for sure. I mean, we're very, very aware of that, and know that they're going to bring a good football team here, and we're going to have to play our best to win.
If I could ask one more quick, what's the quarterback situation? Will you keep using the way you have been?
Well, we lost Gunner in the second quarter with possible concussion, which now we look back and don't think it was, but we hope to get him back. I think he will be. He's in a protocol. It seems to be doing well. Same thing with Kamani Vidal. We're hopeful we get both those guys back. If not, next man up. But Gunner's our starter. He's our guy. As long as he's available, he'll play. But obviously that's a little bit up in the air right now.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Coach. Do appreciate your time.
Thank you.
And we are now joined with Shawn Elliott, the head coach of Georgia State. If you have a question for Coach, please dial *1 on your phone at the top. Again, *1 to get in the queue. Coach, thank you for joining us. Would you mind starting us off with an opening statement?
Yes, good afternoon to everyone. Our Georgia State football program is coming off a little, I guess, a restful weekend after a tough Thursday night loss to Louisiana, which, looking back, it was a really good contest. I thought, both teams played exceptionally hard, and, we came up a little bit short on Thursday evening, which was definitely unfortunate. I thought we played well enough to hang in there and potentially pull out that win, but it just wasn't the case, and we fell short. But I was very proud of our effort. Our football team played hard all night long, and it's one thing to go lose a ball game if you're not playing well and not playing hard with great effort. But we laid it out, we laid it on the line Thursday evening, which I was very proud of our football team and how they responded, and on a short week. And it just didn't go our way. But we've got another tough matchup coming up. Our third conference game in a row away at Coastal Carolina. Coastal Carolina, I think, has been ranked for 22 consecutive weeks now. It's going to be our fourth ranked team of the year, and they present a huge challenge for us. So we've got to prepare well this week and have a great mindset and get ready to go to Conway for a 2 p.m. Saturday start.
Thank you, Coach. Our first questions come from Alan Blonden with the Myrtle Beach Sun News. Please go ahead, Alan.
Hey, Coach. Your starting quarterback, Darren Granger, is a local guy for us from Conway. Can you just describe the circumstances of how he got the starting job and how you believe he's performed for you so far this season?
Well, Darren's, let me just say this. He's a great young man. He's got a great attitude. He's got a big smile, and he's got a contagious personality that brings people together. And, earlier in the year we weren't playing so well, and our quarterback situation was probably wasn't playing as well as we had liked. And we just felt our football team needed a spark, and Darren provided a spark for us. I think his first start was against Charlotte, and went out there and managed our team well, and then followed that up with a really good outing there at Auburn that we, had a chance to win. He just, like I said, he brought a spark to the table, and he's continuously done that, and I think he's playing pretty well. I mean, he knows his capabilities. I told him today, I said, we've got to really, really harp on our vertical throw game and put the ball down the field, and he said he agrees 100%, but I've liked what he's done in our run game. I think he manages that real well, and I'm very proud of him and who he is, and I'm glad he's here.
Okay, Coach. You're trying to win every game, and you got motivation for every game. Does the 51-0 beating last year in Atlanta, you think your team is going to be extra motivated based on that?
Well, I typically don't bring up last year's games just because I don't think they really have any relevance. But I will say this, in our team meeting today, I did address that in the 51-0 defeat. I told them it was one of the most embarrassing losses that I know we've had here at Georgia State, and it was one of the most embarrassing losses I've had as a football coach, and it does get in your craw a little bit. It does. I don't know if it's motivation, but I just asked the guys that were in that locker room to remember how it felt. I mean, it was a very, very poor performance, and it was a great performance on their part, and they had everything to do with it. So, yeah, it provides a little bit of spark, but it certainly doesn't provide all the motivation. Playing them and their team this year is what we're going for.
All right, and the last one for me, it appears Grayson McCall is injured and likely won't play. Would your team prefer to face Grayson and have Coastal at its best?
I tell you what, when you watch Grayson, I don't think any team in the country wants to face him. He's an outstanding quarterback, a great competitor. He turns bad plays into great plays. And, I would love to sit here and say, yeah, we want to face Grayson, and be one of them stubborn coaches. I was on a team once where the kickoff return guy used to think he set the national record for most kickoff returns in a touchdown. I remember our head coach saying, we're going to kick it right to him and cover. I was like, are you crazy? We kicked it right to him, and guess what happened? 98 yards later for a touchdown. We didn't kick it back to him. Grayson's he's a great player. I wish him. I hope he's healthy, and I hope he can play. But he's a really, really good football player, and there's a reason why he's doing so well. So good luck if he can. If he don't, we'll play.
Okay, Coach. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Alan. And our final questions come from Dan McDonald with The Advocate. Please go ahead, Dan.
Morning, Coach.
Good morning.
Quick question. Coastal was able to hold Georgia Southern's rushing game pretty much in check the entire game. Is that sort of, I know it's probably one of the keys, but is that a big thing you're looking at, the way your team's been able to rush your football? Is that the number one priority this week?
Well, I think we have to rush the football. I mean, if you look at our offensive and our production, and that's where predominantly our production comes from, is running the football. And we're doing it pretty good. They've got a really good defense. That Black Swarm defense is really good, and they're going to have an answer to it. But certainly we have got to find a way to generate movement on the ground with our backs and our quarterbacks and even involving our receivers a little bit more in that. But we have to establish the run, and we have to do it well in order to defeat them.
Appreciate it, Coach. I know you didn't get a chance to see the Bravos win on that Game 5, but at least they came through for you a couple nights later.
I certainly did. Well, I got to watch it, but it was awesome. After we got back here on Friday, the big victory parade, they had their staging right here, so all the Braves and the buses, they were down here at Center Park Stadium in our parking lot, so it was kind of fun to see that.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Dan, and thank you, Coach. Do appreciate your time today.
Thank you.
That concludes this week's teleconference. I'd like to thank everyone for joining us, and a copy of this will be posted on the Sunbelt Conference website later today.